Hello, hello. Happy Thursday, everyone. Give everyone just a quick second. Honestly, only like 30 minutes since it's being recorded. You'll be able to come back to it. Um, yes, if we haven't met yet, I'm Jasmine. I am the founder and CEO of Sys2Win. We are an operations consultancy, but I go live every Thursday to talk to service-based business owners, to talk to them about operations. So I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot of DMs. I get a lot of questions in my inbox. Some of them are repeats. Quite a bit of them are repeats, actually. And so what I do is take all those repeat questions and talk on live about them 30 minutes per week. So this series is called SOS Live, Systems Operations Scaling. But also, I know sometimes when your operations are not really keeping up with your business, it does feel like you're putting out a SOS too. So let's jump into this week's episode. This week's episode, y'all, I have to be straightforward. We're talking about metrics in this episode, and metrics are, measures of business. And honestly, a lot of folks, they are focusing on the wrong ones. The main one being revenue, which I get it, right? If you're a business owner, you need to make revenue and all of that. But if you are using revenue as the number that you brag about, if you are using revenue to determine how well your business is going, to determine the health of your business, unfortunately, your revenue is lying to you. That there are so many other metrics that you can actually be using to measure the health of your business. So, yes, revenue is important. I'm never saying that revenue is not important because obviously it's obvious, right? But what revenue doesn't tell you is where the holes are in your business. So if all you can see is revenue up or down, and that's the only thing that you're focusing on, it's going to be very difficult to figure out where the holes are in your business. So if you're on, hello LinkedIn, hello TikTok, hi everyone. All right, let's jump in. And because honestly, I really hope I'm not the first one to tell you that your revenue is lying to you. It feels good, but it is most times a vanity metric if you don't know what's behind it, right? Oh, we hit 1 million. Oh, we had a 50K month. That's great, but what are your margins? Why aren't your clients renewing? Why is your sales team burnt out, right? So this is what we're going to dive into. The leaks are almost always inside the client onboarding process. And so we're going to talk about that today because your revenue is not necessarily safety, unfortunately. Yes. So if you are a service-based business owner, I encourage you, pen and paper. We're going to be going quick. We only got 30 minutes, but let's jump in. So if you think that revenue is the metric that tells you that you can scale, unfortunately, revenue is hiding the cracks. And your client onboarding is where you can really fix these. So we are going to talk about 4 metrics today that you should be measuring to make sure that you can scale without things cracking in half. So number 1, we're going to talk about lifetime value. Okay, the formula for lifetime value is just the purchase value times number of purchases times, the time that you have them. This is the value of, a customer for the amount of time that they stay with you, right? The whole entire time. Okay. So you can brag about hitting 100K month, but if your clients are never coming back, right? You get a lot of one and done clients, then that means that your lifetime value is probably not that great. And what this creates is like this hamster wheel of always having to chase new clients, new clients, new clients, new clients, new clients, new clients, because you can't keep the same ones and build the lifetime value, right? So if you have a strong client onboarding system, this is like really what sets the tone for lifetime value, but also tells you how to increase it over time. This is where you start building that trust. So with the client intake form that you have, you're gathering information that you need, yes, for your team to deliver what you initially agreed on, right? Yes, and the other things that you are gathering are all the different pain points that they may have. This is going to help you figure out how to retain them over time, right? Also, I don't think I have I don't think I have explicitly said this, but your client intake form is also what's going to set you up for testimonials. This is what's going to help you be able to see the transformation over time. If you're not gathering the information from the beginning, it's hard to show how you changed it over time versus just saying, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." You know, it's like when you see like the weight loss coaches, right, or whatever the case may be, and the person they show the oh, this is one of my clients, we've been working together for 6 weeks, but the person was already in shape and running marathons and all that stuff. So the distance between where they started and where they finished really wasn't that big. But when they're able to show before and after, this is how I felt about myself. This is what I was doing. This is what I could do. This is what I couldn't do. And now this is what I can do. You know what I mean? That's going to help you, right? And so the same thing that gives other new clients um, confidence over time to stick with you, that there will be change over time. So lifetime value is really what is going to stabilize your business. You want to make sure that when you get clients, you can keep them. You're not just always on the hunt for new clients, new clients, new clients, new clients, new clients, because that's the only thing that's going to keep your revenue, right? Yes, new clients, but if getting new clients is the only way to maintain your revenue, that's going to be exhausting for your team. Okay. Let's go into the second metric, average order value. So this is similar to LTV, but this is more so like on average, when somebody buys with you, how big is the package, or how many um, offers are they collecting from you? So total number of revenue divided by the orders. So high revenue can look good as well, but you have to know which you have to know you have to know what is weighting that, right? So if you're familiar with like for instance, I have one of my super low ticket offers is actually $1. And so if I get 10,000 people to buy that, that's great. That's a 10K month, right? Revenue, yay, right? But when I do my average order value and I realize my average order value is $1, that's the only way that I'm getting revenue, then that's, you know what I mean? That's not that's not going to be able to sustain a business. You follow what I'm saying? And so when you're thinking about average order value, you want to make sure that you have one, a balance of all of your offers, but two, you don't want to be too heavily reliant on super high ticket or super low ticket either. Because if you're relying on super low ticket, you know, you could automate that, but also, you know, that's a very slow build, right? But if you have super high ticket and you are relying on, let's say you're a coach and you have a $15,000 program, because that's all you do for your one-on-ones, right? If you're a coach, y'all, I know one-on-one is taking y'all out. But if you're going to do it, you're going to price it well. And so let's say, you know, you have a client that bought into your $15,000 coaching program, wonderful. But if that is where all of your clients are, what's going to happen when one doesn't come back? Right. And so it's like you have to be able to pay attention to that number to figure out if you have a healthy balance of where things are coming in, a healthy balance of all the offers that are coming in. Right. This is going to tell you more than revenue if there is health in your business, not just, oh, great, I got two clients this month, or I had a $30,000 month because I had two coaching clients at 15K. That's great. If they don't show up next month, will you have a $0 month? Right? Versus having, you know, a balance in all of those. So pay attention to your average order value. This is a metric that you need to understand how it is fueling into your revenue, not just revenue. All right, the third one is time to value. Lock in, people, okay? How long does it take from the sale to getting a first deliverable? Everybody has TikTok brain. Everybody has social media brain, right? If I want to see something funny, when I swipe to the next thing, something else funny better pop up. And y'all got 30 seconds, if that, right? To watch the video to see if I'm going to stay, if I'm going to be interested, right? That same principle, you have that in your business as well. That time to value is super important because that first win is what's going to lock in the trust. That first win is going to give your client that sense of relief, like, oh, okay, I'm in the right spot, right? So if it's taking weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, I know we talked about a 30-day delivery, right? I have one of my offers where we do a 30-day sprint, right? So clients understand when they sign up, when they sign the contract, when they sign the invoice, all of those things, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, 30 days, right? But you have to remember, people are still human, right? Why am I waiting 30 days to give progress? Why am I waiting 30 days to give some sort of quick win? I advise you, this is my very, very, very professional opinion. I advise you to make sure that you can deliver a quick win within 48 hours, right? Automate something quick, right? Shoot them back an email sequence. You know what I mean? Give them a small piece of something so that they know, hey, you're in the right spot. Because that 30 days, especially as you're a service-based business, right? Especially if something is taking 30 days, that means that you are charging, right, for all of the hours that you're putting in 30 days. That's fine. These are going to be four and five figure offers. That's great. And when somebody pays that, they need to know right away that they're getting a quick win. So you need to be measuring how long it's taking you to get that first win. Now, if you get this client and cool, the sale closes, you got the contract, invoice paid, and now your team is like going back and forth, like, okay, well, where's their passwords and what is it that they're wanting and which package did they buy and all that stuff. All of that back and forth is increasing your time to value, right? Every time we got to go back and forth on Slack, I'm not even going to say email, but even on Slack, we're going back and forth on Slack via text, whatever the case may be. All of that back and forth, instead of having all the information right in front of you, is increasing that time to value. Is increasing it. Increase in time. This is not good. We don't want this one to be high, right? We want this to be as low as possible. Okay. So the way that you get out of this, again, is your client intake form. You need to have a very, 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 very clear intake form that gathers all of the information that your team is going to need to deliver a quick win. You need it, right? This intake form is not about what's your business name and where did you hear about us and all that stuff. Yeah, that's pre-sale. That's pre-sale. Once that sale closes and you are in client onboarding, it's time to lock in. It's time to lock in. So that intake form needs to be very clear. You need to be working with your team, with your client intake is what sets up your project management, right? So all the details that your team would need to execute a project needs to be collected in the intake form. It needs to be very clear. It needs to be very clear what the client's definition of done is. Hopefully it matches yours, right? Now, in between this intake form and delivering this first quick win, I encourage you to have a kickoff call. I'm not going to go into detail about that. I have a free client onboarding workflow in all of my bios. You can download it. It's literally free. Like, you can see the flow that I'm talking about, and check yours and make sure that you have all of those things, right? If you are a service-based business, you're going to need all of these things in your client onboarding workflow, right? So it's in my bio. Okay, cool. But yes, time to value, that is super, super, super important. Check out the workflow. That's going to decrease your time to value, make your customers trust you way more. Okay, last one we're going to talk about is customer acquisition costs, CAC, right? Okay. I feel like some of you have heard of this, probably, right? You've probably heard of it. Maybe you are not measuring it quite yet, but you need to be, right? Because again, revenue, great, but if you're charging somebody $1,000, but you had to pay $900 to get them, revenue says 1,000, your profit is actually only 100, right? So again, revenue is probably lying to you. You got to dig in. Okay, so with this customer acquisition cost, right? This is your total sales and marketing spend divided by your new customers acquired. Okay, so that means sales and marketing spend let's really get into this because I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't run ads. So all of my sales and marketing, that's free. I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. Your time should not be free, right? Even me doing these lives, I do this because in 30 minutes, I can answer 10 of the questions in my DMs versus going one by one and answering the same question over and over and over and over and over and over and over in my DMs, right? Which one is going to take me longer, right? Plus, if I'm getting the same questions all the time, that means everybody has them, right? I can afford 30 minutes of my time versus if I'm having to answer, excuse me, all of my FAQs, that may take me 3-4 hours in a week. You see what I'm saying? Right? So, although you are not running ads, all the time that you put into sales and marketing, you have an hourly rate. You have an hourly rate. Somehow, some way, right? You may be charging a package, but you have to do the work to figure out what is your personal hourly rate. Okay? And then however much time you have, that's your total sales and marketing spend, even if you're not spending on ads. Okay. Versus how many hours are you putting into sales and marketing divided by how many clients you got that month. That is your customer acquisition cost. That's how much it takes you to get a new client. Now, here's why this metric is very important, because even though your revenue can be increasing, you get 10 new clients, you had to pay, right? Whether it's in time, ads, whatever, to get those clients, right? So revenue increasing, CAC increasing too, we're cutting into our profits, right? But the way that you get around this is by making sure, going back to lifetime value, that you actually keep the people, for one, right? If every single time, every month you have to get 5 new clients, that's expensive, right? Versus re getting a client to be on retainer. Yes, I'll repeat the formula at the end. I see your question. um Whether it's getting your client to be on retainer, for them to buy another month of subscription, for them to buy another coaching package, for them to buy app maintenance if you're a tech consultant, right? Those types of things are going to lower your customer acquisition costs. Now, second thing is, when you're doing right by the customers that you have, then they're going to start telling their friends, right? We all, y'all, come on. You've been on TikTok, you've been on Yelp, you've been on all of these sites or these platforms to go get a review. Because guess what? You're not willing to spend where somebody else hasn't had success yet either. This is human. This is not even anybody trying to be anything, right? This is just normal. We want to make sure it works before we get there. So now, if I'm telling my friends, right? Let's say I'm based in the DMV, so my favorite restaurant out here is Delenia, right? Now, I haven't seen Delenia run any ads, but I know that I have sent at least 20 people to Delenia. That's, I know, right? And so that is 20, whatever their average order value, right? You following. However, whatever their average order value is of their restaurant, right? I've given them that times 20 because I have sent so many people there. They did not have to pay to acquire those clients. They didn't have to run ads. They didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to pay an influencer. They didn't have to do any of that. All they had to do, because every time I go, I have such a great time, and word of mouth, boom. Now they have 20 people that they didn't have to pay. Their cost to acquire those clients was zero. So by virtue of having very clear onboarding is going to set you up for very quick time to value, is going to set you up for on-time delivery, and getting your client exactly what they need is going to set you up for word of mouth, exactly, is going to set you up for referrals, all of these things. And your cost to acquire these clients is going to get lower and lower and lower and lower, right? Because you'll have more testimonials, you'll have more word of mouth, you'll have more referrals, all of these things, right? So you sitting here focused on revenue, mind you, you working overtime, you're spending 100 hours to get one client. So you get the one client, sure, and they paid you, but you've already eaten up all of the profit that they gave you, right? So again, that formula is your total sales and marketing spend combined divided by your new customers acquired. Okay. Excuse me. So we have to be able to pay attention to that because you have to reduce churn. You have to reduce churn. When you reduce churn, your CAC will naturally fall. Happy clients, cheaper growth. We know this for so many reasons, right? But this is how it comes into your business. Instead of just focusing on revenue, you want to come back to those 4 metrics. Okay. So if your revenue is looking good, but you're still feeling like you're drowning, it's not necessarily failure, right? This is where operations comes in, right? This is where you need to dig in and you need to have the proper metrics and you need to be measuring the correct things so that you know which lever to pull. Because y'all seen Emperor's New Groove, right? And you know when Yzma is like, pull the lever, Kronk, and he pulls the lever and she's like, wrong lever. You don't want to have that experience in your business, right? You're thinking, oh, well, I need to boost revenue. I'm just going to run ads. Whole time, whole time, you don't have a place where you can upsell, downsell, cross sell. And you could have been making more money within your business, right? All of these things, right? You should be increasing your lifetime value. This same customer that you have, what else do you have in your wheelhouse that you can sell them? Right? You're thinking about having a new getting a new offer, go to your current clients. If it's working for them, they're going to tell you what else is missing. Test it. That's your ad space right there. And I'm not saying don't run ads. I'm not saying don't pay attention to revenue. But what I am saying is if you pull these levers of these 4 metrics properly, strategically, this can change your business. And I want you to think like, what would 6 months of this type of support do for your business? Like, what would it mean if you had in your business somebody working with you to make sure that your LTV is raising, to make sure that your average order value is increasing because the upsells, downsells, cross sells is done right? What would it look like when your time to value is shrinking, 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 shrinking? What would it look like for your customer acquisition cost to shrink, right? This, when all of that is happening, that is when scaling feels safe. So think about what that would do for your business. And then I want to let you know that I am raffling off 6 months of free operations support, right? If you've ever felt like, man, maybe my revenue is lying to me and it's really time to fix the leaks, it's time to raise the numbers, it's time to scale without breaking, then please, please enter my raffle. The link is in my bio. Literally all you have to do to enter the raffle is book a call. That's it. That's all you have to do. And if you refer somebody and they win, then you win too. That's literally it. It's a win-win. Okay. So yeah. Let's see how much time we got. We got 6 minutes. If you do have any questions about any of these metrics, please ask me. I'm gonna stay on and answer them. Are y'all feeling the hair also? So it's new. So it's new for me, but I love it. If you're on TikTok also, you should see I already started dropping the series for this. So, you know, these will be up for you as well. And if you're on LinkedIn, I'll post the series on this, like a recap of this next week. I think I already have it scheduled and running. I just always like to release stuff on TikTok first, I feel. Because TikTok gives actual good feedback. You know, you can be wrong on TikTok. You can be, you know, it's okay to be like, ah, man, this is kind of hard in business on TikTok. On LinkedIn, boy, you got to be buttoned up. And I understand that, but here's the thing. It's worth it. Ask, because the skills that you have that you deliver to your client, if you're a coach, if you're a tech consultant, if you're a hairstylist, right? One of my clients is actually my hairstylist, and she is really good at hair. Not as great in setting up workflows, right? And so that's okay. That's okay. You come together as a team. The formula I mentioned with number 3, time to value, is the days between the sale and the first win that you deliver. It's not necessarily a formula. It's more so just a count. But you can pay attention to this if you're tracking date of sale and date of delivery in different parts of your project. You can you can do a count formula on Google Sheets, Excel, whatever. Yeah, yeah. First 48, y'all. Okay, so yeah, I don't know if y'all watch crime series and all of that stuff. I do. First 48, they not lying. They not lying. Like that really is an extremely crucial time. And honestly, you'll realize in 48 hours, you will still get questions before that. Like you'll get questions before that. Somebody will say, "Hey, I'm ready to get started," and it's been 12 hours. Your people are excited to work with you. You got to get them their stuff. If you have to automate anything, honestly, I would encourage you to automate this part. Yeah. On contract and invoice, boom, automate that. It can be a little bit difficult. There's a lot of like one-off situations where stuff won't automate correctly, but you'll figure it out as you go. You will figure it out as you go. Any other questions? I know we got 3 minutes left on this wonderful Thursday. It's just account from the days of sale to first deliverable. So this is where you want to track the dates. So if I close the sale on Monday and I deliver on Thursday, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 days. And so you decide what unit of metric you want to use, if you want to use hours or if you want to use days. So when you see a 2, you know whether it's 2 hours or 2 days. But I encourage you, 48 hours, hard max, something got to start. Something got to start. Maybe it's just a kickoff call. That's helpful too. Get the no, not another formula. But yeah, get something. I encourage you to do the kickoff call as well to make sure that you're delivering the right thing as well. Because how people fill out forms and how people talk to you one-on-one, a lot of times is 2 different things. Even with seasoned clients, you mean like these are people that you've already had and they get a new. So if you already have a client and they buy in another offer, right? Boom. Cool. I have a client. Yes, 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 yes. So even if you are coming back from a rebrand, this is something that you want to have implemented. If you haven't already collected this information from your clients, you definitely want to, right? So it's okay. You may do a whole bunch of re-kickoff calls with your clients and you may start filling out the form yourself, and that's fine. Send them something and just be like, "Hey, I just want to reconnect. We're rebranding. I want to reconnect and, see how things have been going for you." Walk through the intake form with them on the call. Fill out what you need to fill out. This is what is going to give you the information that you need, right? If they're a if they're a current client, they're probably going to be more willing to get on a call with you and fill out something beforehand. But if they don't fill out something beforehand, once they get on the call, just ask them the questions because it's the information that you are going to use to figure out what you need to do, right? And all that information from all your clients too, you're going to start seeing, okay, well, all of my coaching clients, they agree to this upsell in week 2, or they agree to this downsell in week 1, or they agree to this cross sell in 48 hours. You're going to get that data too and know how to build the proper system. Right, right. Yeah, get back in there, restore that relationship. They know you. Exactly. Plug it right into your CRM. You should have this stuff because you should be able to pass it to your team. So I have people on my team, when I'm ready to pass them something, they get the client profile, right? A profile of all the things, the goals, what technology they use, all of those things that gets passed to my team so that my team don't have to keep coming back to me and be like, "Jasmine, what's next? Jasmine, what's next? Jasmine, what's next?" Right? You don't like that, but also this is your baby. This is your business. So you also want to make sure that it's delivered in the way that matches your standard of excellence, right? So this profile that you're creating with this client intake form is what helps your team deliver in the way at the standard of excellence that you do, so you don't feel like, "Dang, I'm outsourcing and they keep coming back bad." When I coach the class, everybody's saying they understand it, but when I outsource it to this coach, It's coming back, the understanding is coming back at a 3. What's going on? Right? There's something information in the handoff that's not coming, that's not transferring well. And a lot of times, again, it's in that client intake form. So people always ask me, how can you do a whole business based on client onboarding alone? Because there's so much money sitting in your client intake, in your client onboarding process, and people just, they start fumbling money early. Yeah. I'll be finding money in people's business. I'm like, it's sitting right here, by the way, in case you were looking for it. All that you were looking for this month, it's sitting right there. Right. So yeah. All right. So we are past our 30 minutes. Again, remember, I'm cutting it at 30 minutes because I'm paying attention to my CAC, right? My sales and marketing spend versus my clients, right? So respecting everybody's time, 30 minutes. Please continue to DM me questions. Your questions are what I use to build the lives. Your questions are what I use, and I try to answer them via video or via live, because a lot of us have the same questions. The skill that you have been blessed with that's allowing you to have a business is not the same skill as business infrastructure. They're two different things. That's why it seems like, oh, when I'm working one-on-one with the client, it's great. But then this business part is harder. It's two different skills. So give yourself grace. If you are somebody who's like, you know what, I do need to move these metrics, but I don't have the capacity or the know-how to move these metrics, make sure that you sign up for the raffle. The link is in the bio. All you have to do is book a call, 30 minutes. We'll talk. We'll see if you're a fit. I'll put you in the into the raffle if we're a good fit. And honestly, I've been spending that time giving people quick tips immediately. Right? I started a business to help as many people as I can, and I will never stray from that. So have a great Thursday. We will check in next week. Raffle is in the bio. Free client onboarding workflow is in the bio as well. And yeah, don't let your revenue lie to you, y'all. Bye.